Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to the panel for being here this morning. I've really appreciated your insights and your comments this morning. And I want to follow up on a couple of things that we've heard today. While I, too, would like to make the observation that I think there is more agreement than disagreement on climate change and the need to do something. And it seems to me, from where I come from, that the question is really how and what do we do? And we need guidance and we need help from the scientific community in helping us prioritize. I represent the energy capital of the world. I'm from Houston. We believe in climate change. We know it's real, we know it's happening, and we want to be part of the solution. That is the consistent message from my constituents, including those who are in the energy business. And I think it's really important that as we think about solutions, we bring everybody to the table, especially the people who have expertise in delivering energy now, because that is what we all want to see. We want to see this planet continue for our children and our grandchildren, and we want to make sure that we are part of the solution, not part of the problem. So with that in mind, there are a couple of things that you all have touched on in terms of technology, and I think that's a place of common ground across the political spectrum. I think this is a place where actually hearing about sort of political difficulties, there's a lot of consensus. And there are two issues that have come up today. And Dr. McElwee, I think you were talking a little bit about direct air capture and basic research, and that is certainly an area, as well as CCUS is another place where folks in my community are very interested in investing. When we talk about the basic research we need, there's sort of a concept, but where would you start in terms of doing that research, and what do you see as kind of the science we need to be doing and we need to be encouraging from a policy level, enabling, whether it's through the Office of Science or other places, to bring that project faster?
Let me say it first, most of my experience with negative emissions technologies is around the land sector as opposed to direct air capture, but they're both very promising, right? So no doubt that we need to move in this direction. I mean, one of the barriers is, of course, that there's no penalty for emitting carbon. Right? And so until we figure out how to internalize that externality, it becomes very hard for the private sector, for example, to invest in some of these very large-scale things that we're going to need. So it's going to need to be a partnership of multiple things where we can bring industry folks on board, but we give them the incentives to do that through, say, carbon pricing or something else. Certainly we need more partnerships with our universities. There's some really interesting things, for example, at Rice University right now, looking at the land sector in terms of getting more money to our ranchers out in East Texas who are doing a great job of conserving soil carbon and improving vegetation on their lands. That actually helps with flooding as well, right? So all of these systems are connected. So if we're worried about resilience downstream and in urban areas, those sorts of projects are what we need to be looking at as well. So it's not always sort of fancy, shiny new technology, but it's doing things better that we know we can do.
Thank you for that. And I am familiar with some of the suggestions coming out of the Speed Center and other folks at Rice who are working on some of these ideas where there really is a connection. And I think that that's what many of us who are lay people, not scientists, are looking for. And so I think you also mentioned in your testimony, and I'd love to hear what the time we have left from each of you, that Dr. McElwee, you said in your written testimony, one of the findings of our work, there are a lot of actions we can take now. And so I think if each of you wanted to just tackle that, what do you think is sort of the first thing or a thing that we could do now that would be useful for folks to understand kind of your, I don't want to say your top priority, but just one of the many things that's right in front of us that would be helpful to get your perspectives. Dr. Murray.
So I'll answer that question also by drawing attention to your point about there's more agreement than disagreement. And I just want to draw everybody's attention to the memorandum for the heads of executive departments and agencies from OSTP from the current administration. And they talk about many things in the science priorities for the coming fiscal year, 2021. But one of the sections is American energy and environmental leadership, some of the things we've all been talking about here today. And they identify 3 areas of interest. One is energy, which we've certainly talked about a lot here today. The other one is oceans. Okay, what's all oceanographic? I just got to point that out. But they also talk about prioritizing new and emerging technologies. They talk about batteries. They talk about things like that. But then the third thing is Earth system predictability. And that's Earth system, so not just oceans, but land everywhere. And they're talking about prioritizing R&D to quantify different timescales, different geographic areas. They talk about artificial intelligence, adaptive observing systems. These are areas that I think throughout our technological sectors, throughout academia, throughout our national labs, are bipartisan, more agreement than disagreement. So those are the sorts of things that I would be, if I were in your shoes, really looking to capitalize on. Many of them that are in this OSTP memo and some of these other things through the years, different administrations, different Congresses.